I'm fairly anti-Christmas music during the time of Advent. Anyone else, does that drive them crazy? Christmas music everywhere, okay? You can't seem to escape it, right? It's at the malls when you walk around. You turn on the radio stations, oh, Christmas music, even on the Christian channels, right? But I never thought that my everyday I would walk onto campus at SM and hear Christmas music playing over the outdoor PA all day long, right? And I was like, oh, I can't even escape it here. Because I think this time of Advent is so precious. This time of Advent is so important for us as we prepare for the coming of Christmas, because it's not here just yet. But there's one song that always kind of strikes me during this time when I hear it. And it goes like this. You can sing it with me if you know it. It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle bell belling and everyone telling you, be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's very nice. I like that song, huh? But probably for many of us, the song should sound a little bit more like this. It's the most miserable time of the year, with the family all yelling and bank accounts telling you the limit is near. It's the most miserable time of the year. Anybody more identify with that version? Okay, some out there. This is that time of year, where that seasonal affective disorder, right? Sad. What a sad name for something, right? That makes so sad. The times in our life where maybe those darkness of our hearts come up. Maybe we have to interact with that family member that we don't have a healed relationship with. Maybe there's that thing in our life that keeps coming back that we can't seem to get away from. May those things start to come up in our lives during this time because of all of the stress of this season, because all of these times where we're called out of ourselves. But I don't think that that's a mistake. I think that that's an invitation. I think that the Lord gives us this time of Advent to bring forth the dark parts of our hearts and of our lives, and to give them to Him, to give them to the light of the world, to give them to a God who's not afraid of the darkness, to give them to a God who wants to heal His people, who wants to heal us of our blindness and our deafness and the leprosy and the poverty of our lives by His goodness. We have a God who wants to make sure that we make it the distance. We have a God who wants to make sure that no matter what, we make it to the end, because God has one plan for you. He wants to save you. He wants to make sure that you get to heaven. He wants to make sure that you get to a place that you belong. And Advent is above all a reminder of that promise. The promise that we have a God who doesn't abandon us along the journey. We don't have a God who wound up the earth like a clock and threw it into motion and said, good luck, I'll see you on the other side, right? But a God who very much so is Emmanuel. And this is the reason we rejoice. This is the reason we have joy as Christians and peace and love and all of the good things of Advent, because we have a God who's not far off, but a God who's in it with us, a God who journeys with us, a God who walks with His people. And I know you probably get weary in the Christian life, and I know I do. There are times in my life, even recently, where I'm like, Lord, does any of this make any difference? Does any of this ever matter? Does the struggle always have to be this hard all the time? And we get weary, and we get tired, and we get down on ourselves, and we start to question whether or not this Christian life is even worth it. You're part of the 7% of the Catholics in our diocese who believe it's still worth it. You're part of the people who keep coming each and every week for some reason. For some reason. And I don't know what that is in your hearts today. But I'll tell you why I keep coming. Well, I'm a priest. I have to come, right? Okay. Well, I don't have to come, but I'm here, right? There's 2 reasons I keep coming. And those 2 reasons are because we have a God who's patient, and we have a God who's with us. And I love our readings today. They're readings of encouragement. They're readings to the weary. They're readings for us who are a little bit worn down, who maybe this time is not the best time of the year, but maybe it's the most miserable time of the year, huh? The readings are for us to encourage us, to nudge us along the way. Because we have an unknown distance that we're traveling in our lives. We don't know how long our lives are going to be. I might not be here before Christmas, who knows, right? But God knows. And all the things that he does for us in our life is to get us to the destination, to get us to the end if we allow him that grace. It says, be patient like the farmer who plants the seeds and tills the soil and waters that seed until it grows into the thing that's supposed to bear fruit. God plants many seeds in our lives of his grace and wants to till and water and care for them as they come into reality. But I know in my life, I'm like super impatient. Like even on my phone, like when I look up something online, right, and the internet's slow, like what do I do if it doesn't load in like 2.5 seconds? I like close the thing, reopen it, like reopen the internet, right? Kind of like try to get faster. I want it now. We live in such a now culture, right? We want everything instant, right? K-cups and all of these kind of things, right? We want it now. Give it to me now. But all the good things in life take time. All of the real valuable, the things that endure, the things that last forever take time. Just imagine that we have a God who spent billions of years preparing a place for you on this earth. Imagine what heaven's going to be like, right? Imagine that destination. Imagine what's been prepared for you. That God has a room prepared for you in his mansions. If that doesn't encourage us in this way, then I don't know what will. In the scriptures, he says that his patience is directed toward our salvation. That God is so patient with me, guys. I'm an imbecile, right? Like over and over again, I fall. Over and over again, I turn my heart. Over and over again, I try to give up on him. But he reminds us today, and he reminds you and reminds me that we have a God who doesn't give up on his people. A God whose patience is directed to us being with him forever. A God who continues to be with his people. And the second thing that keeps me going is that we have a God who's with us, a God who's beside us, a God who doesn't stand far off but comes near his people to walk with his people. I love this line that he gives us in our today's first reading. He says, tell to the people who have weak knees, right? Who are weary along the journey. Tell them, fear not, Don't be afraid. You have a God who's come with vindication to save you. Don't be afraid. Be strong. Take heart. These are the words from God's mouth to your heart today. That if you're in a weary place right now, that you have a God who's for you. That you have a God who wants to work incredible things in your life. But we just have to come trusting in that every single week. Because whatever the distance and whatever the hardship, whatever the struggle of our lives, that we have a God who doesn't run away, but runs into those things in our life. Without those two things, hope doesn't exist, To believe that we have a God who's faithful to his promises and to believe that we have a God who walks with his people, nothing else in the Christian life would make any sense without those two things. But because of this unknown distance, I think that's also the reason the Lord gives us the church. It's also the reason he gives us the people sitting next to us in these very pews. It's the reason he gives us our husbands and our wives and our brothers and our sisters, because he doesn't want only him to be speaking those things over us. He wants us to speak them over each other as well. He wants us to say to one another, be strong, fear not. You have a God who's come to save you. When's the last time we said that to our spouse, to our child, to the brother or sister sitting to the left and right of us? Or maybe the words that we have for them, especially in these seasons, are like, why are your grades so bad, right? Why didn't you do what I told you? All of these different things that we have coming out of our hearts. I think that we live in a world that has enough of that, has enough of a plan to tear us down, has enough of our plan to tell us to give up, that it means nothing, that your life is meaningless. But we have a God who is relentless in our pursuit of him, in his pursuit of us. A God who doesn't stop proclaiming these truths over us. Be strong, fear not, I'm coming to save you. And the Lord wants to save us from these ills in our life that keep us from him. We hear in the gospel, he's like, come and see me heal people who can't see, who can't hear, who can't speak, who have leprosy. And all of these things on a physical level represent something, but on a spiritual level, they represent something, I think, much more profound in us. All of us have blindness, and all of us are deaf in some ways, And all of us desire to speak more beautifully to one another. But I think the very last thing on the list is the one thing that all of us share. He says, I came to proclaim the good news to the poor. Each one of us are poor in the eyes of God, huh? Each one of us are so much in need of his love and mercy. And he came to proclaim the good news to you and to me. And he tells us today, and I don't want us to forget it as we approach Christmas, fear not that you have a God who comes to save you.